Yes, good afternoon. My name is Juha Hartman and I'm the ambassador of Finland to Poland. This is the second year we are on. We participated for the first time together with the Embassy and Business Finland last year. And despite the COVID pandemics, we decided to take part in this online webinar and take part in the week. And the reason for that is because circular economy has become even more important, especially in view that the European Commission is pushing for the green transition. There is a substantial amount of money reserved for that, and we think that Poland and Finland can collaborate in this field. In Finland, we adopted the roadmap to circular economy already 4 years ago. Poland adopted its roadmap 1 year ago, and we believe that there is a lot to share, and that's why we also have experts from Finland as keynote speakers and also a panel. And we are here to kind of help each other to share our best practices and know-how. So this is why we are here, and it's an important venue for us in Poland.
We joined Circular Week 2020 for 3 reasons: to show Finnish competence in circular economy, to open up for cooperation with Polish partners, and to promote a holistic approach to circular economy. Holistic, I mean covering entire process from eco-design through industrial symbiosis to recycling at the end. In spite of current epidemic situation in Poland, we managed to organize quite fruitful event. We had keynote speeches by VTT and Citra. We had very interesting presentation about Finnish industrial symbiosis, and also we had presentation of Huhtamäki Group about circular economy in action. And in the second part of the event, we hosted expert panel, and leading experts from Poland and UK discussed about challenges ahead of holistic approach to circular economy. Yesterday afternoon, I received a list of participants of our event, and I was very surprised because I realized that our event was participated not only by guests from Poland, but also by people from other Central and Eastern Europe countries, which means that our message resonated well in the entire region. In the background of Circular Week, what you probably don't know, we had also some B2B meetings. For example, a Finnish company, supplier of innovative packages, met with 3 leading retailers from Poland. Now it's our job, I mean job of Business Finland, to translate these very interesting activities into meaningful business outcomes. Of course, in win-win business models.
Hello, everybody. I can see myself here, and it's really good to be talking to you. And I'm sorry I can't speak for the previous speakers, Juha Hartman and Agnieszka, but we'll try and start from the beginning regardless and say a few words about the circular economy system in Finland. So first of all, I'm delighted to be here with you, and I see the number of viewers has actually gone up in the last few minutes, so we're still in this. And I think there's a lot to say, but I have to start from the beginning here. And I'm Tim Forslund, and I work for the Finnish Innovation Fund, Citra, and I'm here with you from Helsinki. I think to start with, some of you are familiar with Citra, and some are not. But, Yeah, well, Citra is it's the Finnish Innovation Fund, and some of you are probably familiar with it, but it's we've been around for about 50 years, and we're an independent future house of Finland under the parliament. And what we work toward is really the successful future of Finland, and the successful Finland of tomorrow, and a future of well-being. And most of us probably think differently about that future compared to what we did 8 months ago. I know for myself, I was in Malbork 8 months ago, and I didn't think that the world would be so different in just 1 month's time, and even more so in 8 months from that time. And I think it's fair to say that some things have really been fast forwarded by years, whereas others have been rather well, reversed, I would say. They're both challenges and opportunities, and we need honest discussions about both. But I think sense making is really more needed than ever. But what we do know for sure is that the circular economy, that the role of the circular economy has really been amplified, and that's what I would like to talk about here. And that role, it has been amplified through its potential to solve the multiple crises at the same time. And one of those crises is, of course, it's what started as the material story, is the story of stuff. We're familiar with the circular economy as having this, sorry, the slides are a bit, there we are. It's about decoupling our resource use or economic growth from our resource use. But more than that, I would say that in the last few years, we really started talking about the circular economy as a really powerful tool for solving climate change as well. And Citra, 2 years ago, we published a report with Material Economics and partners where we show that half of the climate mitigation potential in European industry can actually be tackled by the circular economy. And if you add food systems to the mix, and we look at products and food, 45% of the total climate emissions can be tackled by circular economy solutions. And on top of that, we recently really started to talk about biodiversity as well, and 90% of our resource use is extraction and processing of resources is causing biodiversity loss. So there again, the circular economy is a very powerful tool. It's also quite urgent. If you look at the material side again, it's set to double by 2060. But there are also quite large opportunities in that process. We're talking about 700,000 jobs in the EU, and that's quite a conservative estimate. 70,000 of those jobs by an estimate that Citra did with McKinsey a few years ago shows that 70,000 jobs can be created just in Finland. So that's 1/10 of that number. But if it's then quite clear that the circular economy can help us solve multiple of the sustainable development goals, it's also quite interesting to know what the circular economy actually is. And to understand that, I think we have to start with looking at today's economy, which is one of waste and haste. Most things are used once and then discarded, whereas the circular economy really focuses on designing things so we don't end up with that waste in the first place, because most design is really just a design flaw. But by learning from nature where there is no waste but rather food for organisms, and by leveraging digital solutions, we can really get more from what we already have. And new business models can help us with that, and not just in more sustainable, but also in more convenient ways of meeting our needs. And the emphasis, for instance, shifts from owning ever more stuff to getting access to what we need for services. So the aim is really to do good, not just less bad. But how can we get towards that economy? Well, I would say that the roadmap is a good place to help make it happen. It provides a vision as well as concrete steps of making that vision materialize. And Finland was the first country in the world to develop a circular economy roadmap in 2016. And based on our roadmap experience, we just published a guidebook that walks you through the process of how, not just here is the roadmap that we produce, but how did you actually make that roadmap happen in the first place. So looking at the process, how it's done, and particularly how, based on many requests for how did you actually do it in Finland, we published this guidebook. And one or two things is how you get started and how do you really achieve society level transformation, but it's really walking through the whole process. And it's essentially not just if you're a country, it's at the national level, yes, but it's also below that. And I personally think that this is in equal parts. It applies to businesses as well. And there are 9 steps as part of this. And firstly, you need to take stock of what the situational picture is like in your country, and you need to involve the right people, find a vision and the right focus areas, and then start to work out how you can deliver that vision. So if we go through the different steps quickly, I would say central to the notion of the roadmap is the understanding that diversity, co-creation, and a shared sense of involvement and ownership in the process are really preconditions for getting effective results. So in that sense, you really need to source widely and at many different levels. And an ambitious vision is really key, of course, but you need specific measures that are anchored in the local context. For example, if I think of Spain in their circular economy strategy from this summer, they pay quite a bit of attention to water, which is a scarce resource in Spain, less so in Finland. But once you have found the right areas, you need to plan the actions to make that vision a reality as well. And so for these final steps, I would say that communication is as important as carefully designed goals. And finally, it's really key that it's evaluated and updated so as to remain relevant. And in our roadmap, there were 5 focus areas: forestry, food, technical loops, and transportation and logistics, and common actions. And among our outputs, some of you may be familiar with our toolboxes and playbooks, and our collections of circular economy solutions and businesses. There's a list of 124 circular economy businesses in the circular economy in Finland, and also the World Circular Economy Forum, which took place about 2 weeks ago. And I think that also goes to show that this sense of co-creation is really key, because we still have 70 side events that happen throughout the rest of the year, and that would not have been possible without sourcing widely and really believing that diversity builds effective results. So it's a bit like a mini roadmap in itself, you could almost say. And some quick lessons, I would say, how I understand a roadmap is to be context specific, find what works for you. That's what Finland did with its roadmap. And again, that diversity and co-creation are preconditions for effective results. And I would also say that adaptation is really key. There may be new openings that emerge while you're in the process of developing the roadmap and implementing the different parts of it, but emerge the new things that you see. So stay agile, and that's what Finland did with when we updated our own roadmap last year. And finally, also, it's more, if it is to be more than nice words on paper, you have to measure, and measure. And also, be bold. Finland is a small country, we still have the highest number of circular economy learning offerings in higher education in the world, and not just per capita, but in total. So I think it goes to show that you really can change the system. And this applies to businesses as well. And this applies to people, without which it would be quite difficult, very tough to make this a reality. So we have to make it relevant for both businesses and people. It's easy to focus on one or the other, but it is really about both. And finally, outside of Finland, we already have at least 20 countries that have published circular economy roadmaps and strategies just in Europe. So you can change the system. So let's do it. Thank you for listening.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome from Espoo, Finland. My name is Jussi Manninen. I'm from the Technical Research Center of Finland, and I will be talking to you about the holistic approach to circular economy. If I can get the slides to move. Yes, actually, I'm a bit too quick with the slides, sorry. What I'm actually talking about, holistic, just meaning something that dealing or treating the whole of something or someone, not just a part. And why this is actually important in circular economy is because we are talking about a systemic change. We are talking about how can we actually change the system. And so we have to always look at the parts of the system, how well they do fit within the system. And if we are looking at the which is looking at both the sort of technical materials on the right and the biological materials on the left, and looking at basically from various ways of how you can employ circular economy. Circular economy really is about maximizing the value over the lifetime and also extending the lifetime of materials. And the closer you can stay to the center, which means that the smaller the loop, the better you are. So you always work your way from the core of the picture towards the sort of outer rim of the picture. And really the three critical factors when you're looking at the sort of the holistic view and also enabling circular economy, the first is really that you need to design the products for circularity, which means that they will fit within this picture, and preferably ones that can be are designed in such a way that they can be maintained or reused or recycled or remanufactured. So for example, as an example, it could be a modular design where you can update parts without actually having to take the whole thing apart and then just recycle it. The second critical factor is data, and that applies, of course, to knowing what is in the products in order to enable the second life, the third life, and also the recycling. But it's also about the new business opportunities when it comes to sharing schemes and sort of anything as a service type of concepts. And really the holistic view comes from the fact that you need to understand the link between your actions and the system. Whatever you do with your product, how you design your product, you have to understand how well it fits into the system. For example, is there already a well-functioning system for maintenance or for recycling, which makes it easier to fit your product into the circular economy. We've actually, what we've done over the last couple of years, we've been talking to innovation ecosystems here in Finland that are centered around circular economy and asked what works and what doesn't work. And especially when looking at this sort of comprehensive and holistic view, which means that actually you need to have a sort of a group of actors that are working together. No single actor or even two or three actors can actually make this by themselves. So looking at the competencies and innovations which are an integral part of the circular economy, some of the hurdles you can see here, it's basic lack or access to competence, technologies, lack of knowledge, insufficient collaboration. When we talk about the collaboration, the working culture, again, we came to the same things, that open innovation, partnerships, collaborating across the silos and doing experiments jointly are the ones that push things forward, whereas attitude and again knowledge and access are the things that slow people and slow companies down. On top of the competencies and the collaboration, also the value creation, of course, is one important growth factor, and obviously regulation, since regulation plays an important part in circular economy. So what can we do to speed up things? How can we actually start building these networks and sort of collaboration networks between companies and other players in order to get this holistic sort of view on circular economy, start working to develop the system, and as part of the system then the new products and the services. And what we found out to be a very effective way is actually start working in ecosystems. And what an ecosystem basically is a partnership of different partners that share a common vision and are willing to move towards that vision in using different means like projects and pilots and experiments. And the reason why we need this is the challenges and the solutions are so complex and so multidisciplinary that we need a good concerted action, not only from the businesses and the universities and the financiers, which are sort of the typical trio of actors that you need in order to take things forward, but also from the other platform stakeholders like the cities, the regulators, and even when it comes to circular economy, the citizens themselves. And then you need some sort of structures around this in order to advance specific projects, specific trials, specific pilots that are being funded. So then what we've actually identified, and when we went through the Finnish ecosystems, we identified 3 types of ecosystems that can be applied in different circumstances, have their own benefits, but also some of the challenges that are specific to these type of ecosystems. Probably the most usual ones when it comes to circular economy are the regional ones, which basically you have a regional material flows, and it could be centered around former waste collection, where you're actually then starting to recycle materials for different purposes. So you have the regional players, the regional networks. You also have the region has its own maybe specialization agenda and growth sort of ambitions that sort of fuels the creation of this type of ecosystem. The challenge, of course, in this is that can you sort of look beyond the borders? Can you grow beyond the borders? So if you have businesses there, do they have the capability and the ambition to go from regional to national or international? Otherwise, it will just stay as a sort of regional exercise. Then what we have, and I guess we will also have a sort of presentation later, is on industrial parks, which are typically motivated by the big player or players that are seeing that, okay, somebody else's waste stream could be actually my feed for my production. This type of parks also attract innovative SMEs and startups that are seeing opportunities in some of the secondary streams that come out. And then the biggest challenges in these type of arrangements are that first of all, there's how much do the SMEs actually have to say in these type of collaborations, and also the SMEs, how can they actually scale that business from that site to several other sites outside this specific industrial park. And the third one, which we are seeing more and more sort of vision-based, typically actually with the ambition of starting a completely new industry or sort of new types of businesses. So they are based on sort of on new circular business models, and there's within this type of cases, usually there's an innovation ecosystem of players that are sort of backing this up with the knowledge and capabilities of the network. And really the largest challenge here is to turn the ideas into scalable business. So these are typically sort of startups that are sort of in the growth phase and then trying to find how can you actually make money out of this. And actually, as an example of the innovation ecosystem, you would say that we have an innovation team Finland for circular design of solutions, and so basically we have a consortium of Finnish research institutes, VTT, the Geological Survey is the one on the left. We have the Natural Resources Institute of Finland, we have the Environmental Institute, and Aalto University, and we have actually started an innovation activities around some of the value chains, like packaging, which includes plastics, on textiles, food, construction, and we are sort of approaching the all of these value chains from the design and concept point of view first. So how can we actually start designing the new products or services for these value chains that would advance the circular economy substantially in these areas? So this is sort of again a sort of a powerhouse of players that is at anybody's actual disposal for if you have some ideas how to advance these things. And if we talk about just a few words about VTT before I close down, we are a research and technology organization owned by the Finnish government. There are about 2,100 of us. We work in various areas of applied research, which is the research where we are combining challenges, societal challenges, business opportunities, and the newest science. And even though we are owned by the Finnish government, about almost half of our turnover actually comes from outside Finland. So we are serving customers on all continents of the world. We are working in 3 business areas. The one on the left is really about ICT and electronics. And when it comes to circular economy, for example, there's a lot of sensor applications that can be utilized in order to sort materials. The one in the middle, it's in the heart of circular economy. So we're looking at the biological materials, so bioeconomy and sort of circular products there, and also technologies especially for difficult to recycle material streams like municipal solid waste, slags, etc. And on the right, we work on industrial and energy systems that are, again, where we're looking at, for example, remanufacturing issues when we're speaking from circular economy point of view, and of course the energy system, which is a key player to be decarbonized if we want to really get the climate benefits also from circular economy. So I will end the presentation with just a sort of a summary slide on what are the things that sort of what to do first. And basically, and also we have published several freely available publications in circular economy and also other aspects of sustainable development, which you can see here, ranging from biomass to CO2 and also the plastics. And my sort of list for the first things first is pay attention to design, so design for circularity, bring the digital solutions to play, and then invest in resource and energy efficient processes. Work on the, especially when you're looking at where to sort of focus efforts. Obviously, the critical non-renewables are the ones that are going to be in high need because of the electrification of everything. Looking at the material point of view, high performance, intelligent materials, and then the last thing, well, on this list is also start thinking about the atmosphere as a resource reservoir, which means that let's start taking some of the CO2 back from the atmosphere and start binding it into products. So taking from there from warming us up. So with this short list, I thank you for your attention and wishing a very successful seminar.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Paula Eskola. I'm from Motiva, which is a government-owned sustainable development company, providing our customers information, solutions, and tools to promote resource efficiency and sustainable development. And my title is to talk about, as a case, about our Finnish industrial symbiosis system. And here is my the contents of the presentation. So I will first go through an introduction to FIS, which is how we call it, the Finnish Industrial Symbiosis System, and then a few words about digital matching tools and platforms, and then some learnings from FIS, and also a little bit about our future plans. And what is FIS? It is a practical tool for promoting circular economy and bioeconomy, also regional development. It provides a systematic way to help companies and other organizations to create partnerships and new business opportunities through more efficient use of raw materials, technology, services, and energy. And so the basic idea is to collect resource information, identify new opportunities for industrial symbiosis, and then help the symbiosis to happen. We have a twofold target. So the first target is to create a new technology or service business or improve the profitability of existing business. And here as indicators we have, for example, jobs and cost savings and new investments. And then the second target is resource efficiency and closing cycles. And here the indicators are, for example, virgin material savings and greenhouse gas reduction, and also the increase on recycled and reused materials. And this is about how everything started. We started the development of the model together with Citra and with International Synergies, who was running the UK National Industrial Symbiosis Program very successfully at that time. And we were first tested these NISP working methods, and based on this pilot, we developed our own FIS model. And then the actual work started in 2014, and during these couple of years, we were able to engage 8 regions in Finland, 8 regional projects started. And in these projects, the regional practitioners were helping the companies to identify new synergy opportunities and to establish the industrial symbiosis. And after that, until now, we have 14 regions out of 18 engaged in Finland, and about 20 different projects have been going on regarding this model, and we have about 1,000 or more than 1,000 companies involved. And now we are still hoping to get the other, or those regions that are not yet involved to come also or start projects, and so that we will have a national operations model. And of course we want always more companies and to be able to create more impact. So about the organization, the actual work is done in these regional projects that I mentioned. We have these regional practitioners who are helping the companies to identify the synergy opportunities and also to make them happen. And this work is done in cooperation, of course, with the companies, and they arrange different kinds of workshops, for example, where they collect the resource information and identify the new synergies. And then after that, they can use this digital material exchange platform, Materiaalitori, which allows them to look for more synergy opportunities. And then the practitioners and the companies can also use this knowledge transfer network, which can provide the needed information and knowledge that we need for forming the symbiosis. And Motiva's role is to be the national coordinator, where we develop the model and manage the data, and also support the regional practitioners and link the different regions together and help in the knowledge transfer. The digital matching tools and platforms. We are now using, as I mentioned, the Materiaalitori, but before that, between 2014 and 2019, we were using this Synergy database, which was used in the also the UK NISP program, and it was working very well, but it could be used only through the regional practitioners, and the companies didn't have access to the database, and that companies felt that was a problem, and we started to develop this Materiaalitori because also the regional practitioners and the companies were wishing for this open kind of platform. And the Materiaalitori has been now open since about half a year, 2019, and it can be used to offer and find new side streams and waste materials, but also at the same time it can be used for looking for a waste management provider. And so if a company can't find a commercial service provider through this platform, they have a statutory right to use a municipal service provider. So Materiaalitori can also be them, or this lack of the service provider can be demonstrated through this platform, and after that they can use the municipal service. And this was one reason also to build this platform, because the Ministry of the Environment needed a tool for this. And we think that the statutory use of the platform is also or will increase the awareness and the visibility of the platform. So we think that it will also be used more in the industrial symbiosis work. Then a few learnings from FIS. We think that this facilitated model is needed, and we also need motivated and competent practitioners who can help the companies. So just a platform or a digital platform is not enough. We need also this kind of practitioners. And also I think the regional delivery is working quite well, because then you can consider the regional characteristics of the area, and also the practitioners know the companies, and so it's easier to work on a regional level. We need also concrete and measurable targets and indicators, both on national and regional level, so that we can really try to get the results that we want, and so I think we need the targets on both levels. And then also sharing knowledge and experiences between the practitioners in the regions, and also between the regions, is very important. And of course we need the research and development results and knowledge to be able to do these industrial symbiosis processes. We need the resource data, and there we find the digital platform very useful. And of course, we need communication and raising awareness, and also trust is very important. And challenges, I think one has been for us finding a funding model for the national coordination, and also for the regional delivery, the funding is also very important, and it has been challenging to be able to provide the longevity and adequate resource for the regional delivery in some regions. And the impact data collecting is a challenge. It's not so easy to get the data from the companies in the end when the symbiosis is already delivered. So that's something that we need to work on. And of course, these legislative barriers and restrainers can also be a challenge. And then about our plans, we have seen that industrial symbiosis is recognized as an important tool in the national strategic program to promote circular economy, which is now being prepared and should be ready, I think, by this end of this year. And so we think that this FIS can be one part of the delivery of this national program, and our goal is to develop and scale the operation model to a new level. So we are talking about industrial symbiosis 2.0, and in this development we will utilize of course the present FIS network and expand it further, and also supplement it with other working networks, such as a network of eco-industrial parks. And we hope to make better use of the existing tools and operation models, and increase the exchange of good practices between regions, and also make a better use of existing digital platforms and develop them further. And you can find more information in the internet. The Finnish website is there is much more information there, but also there is an English website where you can find some information. So thank you very much.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Tanja Virtanen-Leppä from Huhtamäki Group, calling from Espoo, Finland. So I'm presenting you a case of Huhtamäki Group, circular economy and action. Huhtamäki is a packaging company, and I would like to start by introducing what is the value of packaging, because oftentimes people tend to think that packaging is like taking for granted, so people don't stop and think about what is the value of packaging. So value is brought by hygiene. Packaging promotes hygiene and prevents spread of diseases. Packaging keeps food safe from spoilage and preserves its original properties. And packaging has a great deal to do with food availability, so that food will be available everywhere all around the world, and it allows food to be transported affordably and at low emissions. And also, oftentimes people don't realize that actually 1/3 of the all food is wasted. And packaging can help a lot in preventing this food waste, because this food waste represents 8% of the global greenhouse gases. Packaging is there for a reason, and we at Huhtamäki Group, we believe that by making our efforts in packaging, we protect food, people, and the planet, and we enable well-being and convenience for people around the world by supplying the packaging that is needed in order to supply the food. And then about Huhtamäki around the globe. So you can see the figures there. Of course, I don't go into detail, but I just wanted to point out what we have a strong local presence around the world. We are delivering our customers globally. We are, as mentioned, we have a headquarters in Finland. We are operating in 35 countries, and we have 81 manufacturing units around the globe. And then if we focus on Poland, these are like the Huhtamäki Poland milestones. So we started our operations already in the early 90s in Poland. And here you can see the timeline. And the timeline, we have been focusing on circularity, on renewable materials. You can see that we have been active in paper cups and plates, paper factory, paper wraps, paper bags, containers, and lids. And now the case that I'm presenting is around paper straws, the paper straws production. In Poland, currently, we have 2 production units. I don't know if I pronounce them rightly. I do hope I do so. So Żelac and Gliwice. And the Żelac facility, we started this new project around circularity. So we are producing paper straws, and the production started this year. And our customer, of course, I cannot say any names, but let's put it this way, that is the main player in the Polish market. Of course, I think many of you are well aware about the restrictions we have nowadays in the EU. So the Single-Use Plastics Directive that is focusing on certain single-use plastic items, for example, plastic straws. So here we have a fine case example how to replace plastic straws by renewable paper straws. Paper straws are, as I mentioned, they are sustainable choice to serve drinks. They are alternative to plastic straws. They are made from sustainability sourced paper, meaning that it's PEFC certified, coming from sustainably managed forests from the Nordics. They are, of course, food safety certified in external laboratories, so that we are making sure that do, of course, fill all the safety standards. And as I mentioned, we started the high quality production in Poland. Currently, we are running 2 machines producing paper straws, and the 3rd one is in installation phase. So this was my case example today. Thank you very much.
Today we have 5 excellent participants of the discussion, 3 of them online and 2 of them here in the studio. Let me introduce them first. So we have online Professor Joanna Kulczycka, President of the Board, Waste Management and Recycling Cluster.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We have online Natalia Giergiel-Biniek, Manager at Deloitte. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We have Mr. Grzegorz Ganczewski from Łukasiewicz Research Network, and Grzegorz has 2 affiliations. The other affiliation is Polish Chamber of Packaging, Recycling and Recovery. Good afternoon, Grzegorz.
Good afternoon.
And we have 2 persons in the studio. Mr. Dariusz Prasek, PhD, former Director of Operations in the Environment and Sustainability Department of the European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, and also member of the UN Advisory Board on Circular Economy, international expert. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And we have Henryk Stawicki, design strategist at Change Pilot. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So now we go quickly to the questions, because it's a rare occasion to have such great experts in the studio, and let's not waste time. So the first question, and I ask as first person to answer, Professor Joanna Kulczycka. Do you know any example of holistic approach to circular economy from your professional practice? And the second part of the question is, what are the obstacles and challenges in introducing holistic approach to circular economy?
Thank you very much for this difficult question. It's really challenging in Poland, because when we're talking about holistic approach, we really need the whole value chain. And to guarantee this value chain, we need the cooperation. We need the cooperation between different entities from the beginning of eco-design till the end, so the management of the raised waste. Of course, I can say that the cluster, waste management and recycling cluster, which has over 120 entities, covers this holistic approach. So we have not only companies who really design the product, which is the most challenge, but also the entities who try to recycle it. So this is really the good example for the circular economy, and I hope we can have such good examples in Poland, as we have 16 national cluster with national importance. I'm really appreciate the previous presentation, which focus on industrial symbiosis. It's really missing in Poland, and this is what we really need is to learn from Finland how we can organize our market, our strategy towards industrial symbiosis. So even we cover the whole value chain in the cluster, I think the cooperation and creation all the organization the circumstance towards economy and industrial symbiosis is something which is really needed.
Okay, thank you very much. And we go to the second panelist, Natalia Giergiel-Biniek from Deloitte. The same question, please.
Okay, so also work on circular economy strategies with clients present on each and every stage of the supply chain, from production through distribution to waste management. The biggest change that we see on the market today is the extraordinary focus on collaboration between stakeholders, not only from the different stages of the supply chain, but even among direct competitors. more often the companies that have the same target group or more or less similar products, they work together on the most daunting challenges as they encounter the same problems. We recently conducted such a project for 5 major global FMCG companies, working together on improving the collection, sorting, and recycling rates of their flexible packaging in Poland. So that is one of the most inspiring examples that comes to my mind. And I think that with the growing regulatory pressure and with upcoming new obligation imposed on actors from both public and private sector, the holistic approach and the necessity of working together has been already noticed and is being addressed.
Okay, thank you very much. And Grzegorz Ganczewski, what is your point, Grzegorz?
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for your invitation again. My name is Greg, and today in today's panel, I represent the Łukasiewicz Research Network, Institute of Biopolymers and Chemical Fibers, with its regional office in Warsaw that is specifically in packaging, and also the Polish Chamber of Packaging, Recycling and Recovery. So all my answers will be from the point of view of packaging industry. Thank you very much for this question about the holistic approach to circular economy. This question is actually very close to our heart because that recently the majority of all our work and cooperation that we do in both the Research Institute and the Polish Chamber of Packaging, Recycling and Recovery is very much connected to the issue and to this holistic approach to circular economy. And I could give you many examples of different projects where we literally link different participants of the packaging value chain together to approach the circular economy goals. We are even realizing one of these projects right now. This project is the Central Europe program, Interreg project called Biocompact, specifically with biocompact packaging. The project is finishing this month. We have our final conference in 2 weeks' time, so whoever is interested, you are of course welcome to join in. But to answer this question, let me give you like a very high-profile case of McDonald's Poland. So the Polish Chamber of Packaging, Recycling and Recovery was actually working very closely with McDonald's when McDonald's wanted to move more into the circular economy aspect. And the Polish Chamber of Packaging, Recycling and Recovery actually assisted McDonald's in choosing the recycler for the waste paper and coated paper products, like caps and food packaging. And with the assistance of this recycle, with the assistance of the chamber, we helped McDonald's find the recycler that was actually able to use this waste material and transform it into paper tissue that was sent back to the restaurants again. So we have a beautiful example of circularity here, where the product that is used within one company is then sent to be recycled and then comes back to the same company to be used again. However, in here we have this inherent problem, and this is actually a great example to illustrate the second part of the question, which is about the challenges and obstacles in the circular economy, is that packaging materials like paper and plastic material that I was talking about are unfortunately perishable. That is, they do not keep their properties well when they are recycled again and again. And at one point, they will actually become the residual waste. In this example, there is currently no technology that allows the paper cups to be recycled into new paper cups. The waste is downcycled to the tissue paper, and unfortunately, when this tissue paper becomes the waste itself, it can only be incinerated. And this is linked to another very big challenge of circular economy in the context of packaging, which are the very high requirements for recycled materials to be used in packaging applications and to be used for food, cosmetic, or even medical applications. So the best possible solution to overcome this challenge is to design products in such way that their life cycle can be as long as possible and that they can be recycled to high quality products. And this requires us to have this really major and complex cooperation between various stakeholders within the whole value.
Okay, thank you, Grzegorz. And I have request to the studio operator to contact Grzegorz because we have some problems with quality of voice. So please contact in the background, and we go to the to another participant of our discussion, Mr. Dariusz Prasek. The same question, please.
Thank you very much for this question. I'll give you an example from a different area. From the financial institution perspective, I worked for a bank for 27 years, so I will give you an example of that kind. Every project will require some kind of financing at some stage, so it is probably pertinent to outline a little bit. 4 years ago, my bank decided to go green, to finance green projects. And this was a target. And this target was translated into, first of all, message to the market, we want to finance these type of projects. And the second was internally to our bankers, bring these type of projects. So this was very powerful because we had both demand and supply. And what happened? Circular economy was actually part of this green agenda. It was called green economy transition. So bankers were actually screening actively every single project which was submitted to the bank for circularity. If it was already in the project, we tried to talk to the clients to make it even better. If it wasn't present and there was circularity potential, then we suggested to clients how to modify the project to make it better, to address the needs of the future markets. And this was a very powerful decision, the result of which this year 46% of the bank's financing was actually to green causes, and green and circular holistic approach had actually prominent position in this financing. So this was an example of holistic approach from the financial perspective. You asked also about impediments, obstacles. First of all, it's awareness, information, lack of standards, and insufficient cooperation at various fora. So this is something that we have to address as quickly as possible.
Thank you very much for this interesting contribution. And now we go to the last but not least panelist, Henryk Stawicki, please.
Thank you for that example. I will also try to share an example that maybe is not fully holistic, because I see a lot of projects starting with a holistic vision and then achieving really great results, but being truly holistic is maybe yet a bit next step. But the case I want to share comes here from Warsaw, from an industry of interior design. As a design strategist, we cooperate with different companies, and one of them, our friends at Workplace, they design business-to-business interiors, offices for large number of people, and they decided to be based on circular values, but also their values, to design so-called zero-waste office. It's a direction they want to go, and they want to communicate in the market, and they impacted not only the market of interior design, but also different people in the supply chain by refurbishing totally new materials, asking producers, manufacturers to make new composites. So I think even locally you can find this quite smaller examples, but very holistic already in their little field.
Thank you very much. And now, second round of questions with the same sequence of people answering the questions. So we will start again from Professor Joanna Kulczycka. And the question is about industrial symbiosis. What are the barriers for it? What entities should be engaged in initiating and building such symbiosis? What is the role of industrial players, government, and local development agencies? And what instruments would work best to stimulate development of such symbiosis? Professor, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this challenging again question. Absolutely, what is important in industrial symbiosis is regional cooperation. What we have seen that is with the region, it is with the town, and then it's possible to cooperate closer. What is my experience from the Polish market? We absolutely have to first mapping what we have input and what we have output. If we realize that our output can be input for the other companies, it can work the industrial symbiosis. I think the best example in Kraków is a Krakowski holding komunalny, where a lot of companies giving the service for municipal can work together. So, for example, when we have incineration, the heat from the incineration going for heating for the Kraków town, and also when we have the transport, the electricity and the other, it's connecting. It's connected not only in material flow, but also in the holding, financial holdings, and also in cooperation of the companies. But there are not so many examples of this. We could see from the mining companies and from the large companies that some heat can be proper managed between the companies, but there are some materials, secondary materials. Again, the good examples from Małopolska is a ZGH Bolesław, which recovers zinc from different dust materials for years. But unfortunately, there are not so many such good examples. So what's the challenge? We need a good planning. We need what was shown already, the information, the platform about such possibilities. But the most what we need incentives. We need economic incentives for such cooperation. And that's also the largest barrier. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for this contribution. And now we go to Deloitte. The same question, please.
As we already mentioned, I think that everyone agrees on that, is that the key to successful transition towards circular economy is the cooperation of all actors involved, both public and regional authorities, companies, and even consumers. What we are lacking today are not necessarily the new instruments usually identified with new taxes or other payments imposed on both business and consumers. We think that as we already have the initiative and the willingness to cooperate, what we miss is the space where we could gather different stakeholders, entities from various industries to discuss what they need and help link the byproducts ways that one entity has an excess with the demand for this type of product of even broader to link general supply and demand for secondary raw materials. For example, the entities looking for a specific recyclant with a recycler who could produce it.
But Natalia, I have additional question to you. Who should play the role of the leader of this formation of industrial symbiosis? Do you have any ideas, vision for that?
Well, taking into consideration the regulatory framework and the fact that it is both public and private sector touched by this regulation, I think that in this particular moment, we should have this platform organized by public authority.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we go back to Grzegorz Ganczewski. Grzegorz, are you fine with sound right now?
I hope I am.
Yes, now it's perfect. So go ahead.
Okay, great. Apologize for my problems with sound. Would it be possible for you to repeat the question?
Yes, of course.
Great,
the question is about industrial symbiosis. What are the barriers for it? What entities should be engaged in initiating and building such symbiosis? Mm-hmm. What is the role of industrial players, government, and local development agencies? And what instruments would work best?
Okay, yes, thank you for this question. So from our experience, I would say that the two main barriers for the industrial symbiosis in Polish packaging industry, especially from this perspective of circular economy, is the issue of trust and short-term strategic thinking. So issue of trust is something that is quite natural. In the previous linear model, the companies were not required to cooperate together and use other companies' waste of the feedstock material. So right now, the companies are interested in being very cautious about the quality of material that they receive, for example. And another big barrier is the short-term thinking and profit orientation of the Polish packaging industry. Even though sustainability was already proven to be profitable, it unfortunately requires significant capital investment and really long-term strategic thinking. And this is something that the Polish packaging industry still lacks. And so the entities that should assist the industry are, in our opinion, different chamber of commerces, associations, clusters, consultancies, and of course the research institutes. We feel that they are like this glue that help companies understand the needs for this symbiosis and ensure the quality of symbiosis through different projects, patents, and implementations. As for the instruments, I think we can refer here to the different carrot and stick strategies. So the stick strategies could be, of course, legislation. Some examples can include the Single-Use Plastics Directive or extended producer responsibility. Whereas the carrot strategy can be the cooperation within different projects or different, for example, tax write-off, etc. And of course, we have a very important role of the final consumers, especially when it comes to their education. When they are educated about circular economy, they will, of course, help to grow the circular economy down from below.
I see. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we are back in studio, and the question goes to Dariusz Prasek.
Thank you very much. I agree with most of the things that my distinguished co-panelists already mentioned, so I'm not going to focus on them. Let me focus on a couple of things. First of all, the current linear models, they are not conducive to cooperation and partnerships. And we have to actually, in industrial symbiosis, deal with the whole issue of cooperation with the supply chain, with the primary suppliers and secondary suppliers. Those include small and medium-sized enterprises. Those small and medium-sized enterprises are struggling very often with the access to knowledge, to technologies, to information. So there is clear role for public authorities to initiate center of excellence where this information, in cooperation with larger industrial entities, would be available. Then there is also one thing which Grzegorz already mentioned, that we need standards. If we are using byproducts, materials from one company in another one, we have to have standards of the quality. What is acceptable quality? What is the ingredients of hazardous substances and other issues? So I want to mention those two elements. First of all, cooperation and partnership based on access to knowledge, to technologies, and at the same time introducing standards which will define the quality of products used by other entities.
Okay, thank you very much. And what is your, Henrik, point on this?
Actually, a lot great things were said as transitioning from linear to circular and finding yourself in trying to search for new type of partnerships. There was trust. And what I will add to these elements is definitely a value, seeing not only a value for my organization, but also the value of me as being a part of something bigger. So this is what, from my experience, can be seen as something hard to grasp. What is my role in the bigger impact, not only impact and value for my company or organization. But what I want to add to all these great comments is that I see a very interesting transition in a new type of matchmaking, new type of partnerships in Poland. When pandemic came, we've seen so much more trust towards local. All the travels turned from international to local, and we started to make smaller loops and find more partnerships within our culture of trust and be better at matchmaking. So I think when you ask about roles and entities, I think we need help in being better matchmakers. Like dating apps, Tinder apps, they help people find each other. I think we need this material matchmaking when it's standardized, like access, material exchange. I think in Netherlands they're brilliant in doing it because they can scan QR codes and give all the guidelines to companies so they can find each other and make good couples and more.
I think it's very appealing argument with this matchmaking skills, so let's think about it more. Thank you very much. Now we go to the next question. We have new EU financial perspective starting next year in 2021. There is no national operational programs published yet, but some of these sources are expected to be spent on circular economy projects. What initiatives and projects, in your opinion, should be prioritized in the operational programs in Poland? And we start again from Professor Kulczycka. Professor, we cannot hear you. We see you, but we cannot hear you. Okay, so the question goes to Natalia Giergiel-Biniek from Deloitte right now, and we will go back to Professor as soon as she will be ready.
Sure, thank you. So it is a very good and daunting question, as we are already far in October and we still don't know the answer. We could guess, looking at the EU high-level strategies and long-term goals, that the biggest focus will be on projects related to the climate neutrality combined with circular economy. It seems reasonable, taking into account ambitious goal of becoming the first climate neutral continent by 2050. Therefore, projects related to sustainable supply chain, food waste prevention, responsible consumption might be a responsibility. But of course, we still need more investment on improving waste management. So my guess is that in Poland, it will be a priority.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we go back to Professor Kulczycka right now? Not yet. Okay, so the question goes to Grzegorz Ganczewski.
Yes. Okay, I can hear myself, so it's fine. Everything is working. Yes, when it comes to the new EU financial perspective, we also heard that there will be funding for circular economy incentives, and we are very happy because for us, especially from the research institute point of view, the projects are the bread and butter of our operation. In our opinion, the packaging related projects that relate to circular economy, they should be prioritized according to the circular economy waste hierarchy. So ideally, we should have programs that fund the extending of life cycle of product and packaging. Especially interesting are the steps like repair. Also, the support of design of products. Followed by that, we should have ideally programs that allow companies to create new and reusable packaging systems. And afterwards, there also should be some funds available for optimization of production technologies, taking into account.
Losing sound again, so please say to microphone.
Hello.
Okay?
Hello, hello.
Yes, now that's fine.
Okay, so yes, I was saying that we should have some funds that allow the companies to create new reusable packaging systems. Afterwards, moving with the hierarchy, there should be some funds for optimization of production technologies taking into account recycling rates, and also development of new recycling technologies altogether. And we also feel that all those programs should require the authors of the project to perform some sort of sustainability assessment relating to innovation. And this sustainability assessment can use the life cycle assessment or different circularity indices as the main tools. And they should be used within the whole process of development. We feel that it's extremely important to be able to quantify this change that we are trying to make within those projects and quantify it in a way that's scientifically viable.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we are back in studio, and the same question about priorities of financing from EU funds and new perspective goes to Mr. Dariusz Prasek.
Let me answer this question in a slightly different way, because I agree that we have in Poland a number of issues. We have waste, we have plastics, we have agribusiness byproduct. They all need to be addressed as certain priorities, but money talks. So if money is available, I think it's a brilliant idea from the European Union that actually put certain amount of money to finance priority projects. If you send a proper message to the market will react to this, and you will have a number of entrepreneurs. But where is the weak point? The weak point is actually information. Information dissemination, awareness of actually what are the priorities and what is available. Listen, I have downloaded Financial Times and Puls Biznesu this morning, and from Puls Biznesu, the last information about circular economy was January 2019. There was nothing in Financial Times. So if you ask someone, recently I asked someone, do you know what is circular economy? I know what is economy, but circular? So what I'm saying that we need proper information, proper awareness among industrial players, among general public, to educate public in consumer choices. And then this money, if we say these are the priorities, the market will react.
Okay, thank you very much. And Henrik, you can answer this question, but I have also a special question for you as designer. So feel free to answer both. And my special question for you is about standardization and unification of packaging. I mean, shape of plastic bottles, labels, and material specifications. Because on one hand, it makes recycling easier, but from the marketing perspective, it limits space for product design, marketing differentiation, and so on. So how to manage this contradiction from your perspective of designer, please?
Thank you for these two questions. And first I will build on what was already discussed. I will not repeat what was already pointed out as really important, but I would like to focus on so-called low-hanging fruits, or the first little steps that as a university teacher working with designers could suggest. I see a lot of potential in the flexibility of young designers, but also successors in Poland. Poland is big with family-owned businesses, and since they were founded, now they have their daughters and sons taking over. And they want to bring the new wave of doing business. They don't want to do the same thing as their parents were doing. Also, the designers I work with or I teach, they also want to be a little bit up to the date. And I think there's a lot of good guidance that we could give both of these markets, designers at schools and young designers, as well as successors, those taking over the companies. And there's a lot of awareness, but also tools, guidance, something that everyone could pick up, like a business model innovation. And we're already trying to find a good paths. So that's from my perspective. And quickly on your second topic, on design and standardization. Me personally, I'm very happy that we'll have standardized phone chargers, hopefully very soon. We'll have different standardized solutions because they give designers a limit. This is a holy cow, I cannot move it. We call it a holy cow because you cannot push it, you cannot move it, so it stays there. And actually design likes limitations, because when limitations appear or something becomes obsolete, then you cannot use copy thinking, you need to use design thinking. So your designers are usually, oh, I cannot touch the bottle, so maybe I will touch ingredients, maybe I will touch a service instead of a product, maybe I will touch modularity or different things. So actually, I like limitations, and I think this is where design comes in place.
Okay, thank you very much. And Grzegorz, you are also from the world of packaging, so maybe you have some thoughts to share with us.
Yes. So the standardization of packaging is a very important issue that we discussed in great lengths in different groups and panels. And unfortunately, there was much resistance from designers, producers, and different marketing specialists. They found, as you said, they found it as a limiting factor to the creativity. But to be honest, I don't agree at all. I agree with the previous panelist that actually limitations spark creativity. Yeah, the more limited you are, the more creative you can be in one way or another. Besides, it's very important to remember that looking at marketing as a whole, packaging is only part of the story. There are many, many different packaging decisions that, many different marketing decisions that you can make about the product, about the place where the product is sold, about the price and promotion of the product, about the people who are involved, and the processes, like the whole so-called marketing. Companies should develop new and innovative marketing strategies. When the standardized and unified packaging system can be actually seen as an advantage. And I would say that the potential here is infinite. And once more, limitations are creative. So I wouldn't see it as a problem at all.
Okay, thank you very much. I've just received information from the studio that unfortunately we have lost connection with Professor Kulczycka. So there are 4 of us in the discussion panel right now. And I have last question for you, kind of summary of our discussion. If you have any golden advice or key message how to enhance development of circular economy in this holistic direction, so now that's right moment to express this golden advice. And let's start from Deloitte now.
No one golden solution or golden advice to such a complex issue. But looking for the solutions jointly with other stakeholders, I think is a key to success. It is also worth to work with people of outside of your organization who see things from a different perspective and can come up with a solution out of the box. The circular economy transition is such a complex project, and we need people from very different backgrounds, technical, legal, financial, etc., to find the best solution. So I guess that the advice is to work with the broad spectrum of people who have the same goal.
Okay, thank you very much. We go to Grzegorz now.
Yes, one golden advice. For the packaging industry, I would say it would be do not be afraid of environmental goals. Do not be afraid of circular economy, because it can be really profitable. Of course, it's going to be profitable in long term, and you need to engage your strategic thinking. But there are many high-profile cases that support this statement, and if companies are interested in pursuing them, they can, of course, contact us as the Institute. We'll be really happy to share them with you.
Thank you very much. We are back in the studio, and now we will hear Dariusz's point.
Going circular and holistic, it's a systemic change. Systemic change requires cooperation of many entities. We need information and awareness, which I already mentioned through my interventions. We need standards, we need taxonomy, we need definition how circular is circular and what is circular. We need educating public authorities about the benefits of circularity. We need to create centers which provide information, particularly targeting small and medium-sized enterprises. But above all, we need partnership and coordination. Partnership between countries, partnership between regions, individuals, industries, and coordination in terms that sometimes as a systemic change, it's given to one ministry to coordinate, and we need actually many ministries to coordinate between themselves. So all these elements are required for the systemic change.
Thank you very much. Henrik?
Building on the topic of systemic change, thinking holistically about circular economy, it's a big picture, sometimes might be too demanding to see it as whole. And I think it's best to have that vision, that direction in front, but make very little steps. And I think every one of us can have an impact and make a little step. And all of you that you are here, you're definitely, as I perceive, a change agents, because you're here because you want to gain some inspiration, bring it back to your organization. Probably you might be one of the first to bring that inspiration back. And we need that little steps in all little places. Then we can organize them as a whole. But I think the most important is to agentize yourself. And even if you don't feel that, oh, I'm making the change, or I will make such a spectacular change, remember that you're part in a big partnerships. We are all here from different areas wanting the same. And I think this should bring awareness to change agents that are not on their own. Even if you feel you're on their own in your organization, circular economy is about being together with others. So you will find other change agents in other organizations for sure.
Thank you, Henrik, very much. We have heard very inspiring arguments from our speakers today. Thank you to all of them. Let me repeat who was in the discussion panel. So It was Professor Joanna Kulczycka, President of the Board Waste Management and Recycling Cluster. It was Natalia Giergiel-Biniek, Manager at Deloitte. It was Grzegorz Ganczewski, representative of Łukasiewicz Research Network, Warsaw Branch Office KOBRO, Packaging Research and Development Center. And the second affiliation is Polish Chamber of Packaging Recycling and Recovery. Dariusz Prasek, PhD, former Director of Operations in the Environment and Sustainability Department of the EBRD, member of the UN Advisory Board on Circular Economy, international expert, and Henryk Stawicki, design strategist at Change Pilot. Thank you very much for being with us. I hope you are inspired. Let's think about what was discussed and let's start to act. And of course, please forgive us some technical problems we had. We did our best. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.